So let's take a look at your report. First, the general item here. Your swing time is about 900 milliseconds. Men's average about slightly over 1,000. So it's a shorter. That means you have faster backswing. The reason why we have these here is because trial to trial, your caliber speed is not consistent.
Okay.
And also here, there may be some tracking issues. So we need to investigate what causes this. But you go up and quickly coming down here. So the caliber does not really go almost close to stop and then coming back. Right, it keeps moving.
Yeah.
So if the timing is not consistent, then we can have just large standard deviations. But this spike is a bit unusual. So we need to check the markers. And then also in your case, from here to here is the backswing, then the maximum speed occurs at the center here. I want to see this later.
That's what like just before top of backswing. Yeah.
So this is if this is top of backswing here.
Okay. Yeah, the top of backswing. So that's
Yeah, then right in the middle here. But I want to, instead of having symmetric pattern here, I want the peak shifted more this way here.
Okay.
Your caliber speed is 112, so slightly over men's average. I think men's average is 111. But for your height, you're generating more speed than men's average. In the top view here, so this is the swing plane calculated from the caliber trajectory. It's inward, so it's a 3.4 degrees inward. And then your hand motion plane is 2.8 degrees inward. So we have a slight outward direction gap. Relative to the swing plane, your hand motion plane is outward. But it's not much. And then this is the swing plane view here. So here, this is your swing plane. Generally, your club stays close to the swing plane, partially because your swing plane is a bit steep. It's 46 degrees on the average. It's passing slightly above this mid trunk point, so that's steep.
Yeah, it's a bit steep. Yeah, it's always been.
It's because of quickly pulling it down. When you go and quickly pull it down, it's hard to bring the club toward the swing plane.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my most usual mistakes too.
And then center of mass motion here. Whole body center of mass. Starting from here, and then you have a good amount of away motion. It goes up. However, this is the end of pelvis rotation. Usually, this should be the high point.
Okay.
And then it starts coming down, but your high point occurs later.
Later.
About here, between the end of pelvis rotation and the top of backswing here.
Okay.
And also your center mass is not moving downward that much. Okay. And then after that, particularly, you don't have much upward motion here. And then your pelvis does not drop and then go up. It's just
it just stays the same.
And then going up here. So the pelvis motion, this is the angular motion. The red line shows rotation.
Right.
Blue is the lateral tilt. If you look at green line, this is anterior posterior tilt. So posterior tilt here, and then anterior tilt and posterior tilt. But you have too much anterior tilt.
Right. Yeah.
That means your hip is moving backward. So this is the forward backward motion. Then it's going backward. So when you have a quick motion here, while your pelvis is sliding backward, you try to move this way too much. Look at this impact position. Your hands are leading the club too much here, or your body is leaning backward.
Right.
Your hands are
way
too much ahead of the body here, because you go up quickly pull it in. Right. So with this, the pelvis, the left hip has to move backward quite a bit.
Yeah, to give room for that.
Yeah. You basically from here, keep moving. Your pelvis center mass keeps moving backward all the way to impact here. The up and down motion, you don't have much downward motion here. It just stays, and then try to lower it and then go up here. You also have a jumping-like action here.
Yeah.
The center mass is moving up quite a bit here.
Yeah, that jumping action had it.
And then the X factor here, you have almost two-stage motion. So up to this point, the X factor keeps increasing, but then it plateaus and increases again. Is because of the pelvis motion here. This because pelvis is sliding and opening early, so it's increasing again. So you need to more have a continuous increase.
Like more of a.
Yeah. So instead of going rapidly here and then it kind of plateaus here.
Just like a
continuous
right.
Separation. Kinematic sequence here, you have a fairly long transition phase, so the pelvis and thorax transitions first here, and then the shoulders. These are kind of clustered. This is the arms and the club here. This is because your body is moving, sliding, and then opening early, and then it comes down here. But if you look at this red line here, which is the pelvis or hip line angular velocity, it peaks here really early. Rather, it should be somewhere in the middle here. And then the green is thorax and the shoulders. These are happening a bit later than this spot, but still those are before the midpoint here. The arms actually reach the peak value around midpoint, and the club also around midpoint. But if this is delayed, so it happens about here, these can also happen around there. Then this will be delayed, and this will be delayed, which is good. And then you have this really delayed release here of the wrist here. It's because as you quickly pulling this down, you have on the way down you have a lot of wrist cock here. Wrist cocking increase, angular velocity increases, so you have this delayed release. So take a look at this motion here.
Okay, like it's really aggressive.
Yeah.
Like,
with this motion, you don't have enough time to let the cleaver go. So what happens is the hands has to lead this quite a bit here. So it's not fully uncocked yet.
Right.
So zero uncocking zero uncocking happens about here, but still, yeah, still your hands are leading quite a bit. About here, you lose the wrist cocking here. It's too late.
It's way past the impact there.
So you're using this motion here, and then later you don't have enough time to let the club head go. Timing of the peak angular velocity in the downswing is reasonable. So here you have a lot of wrist angular velocity, but the club angular velocity is not
that fast. Like it's later.
It's below elite man's average, while your wrist angular velocity is above man's average here. So although you're using your wrist a lot, but your club angular velocity is not going high.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's because this is delayed, so you don't have enough time to let the club go.
Right.
So you need to have more time at the top, wait, and then throw.
Yeah, that's one of my main mistakes. I try to give more time in the backswing.
The club goes only this much here, and then you have down cocking here. So if you look at this along the swing plane here, so it goes high up here and then coming down quickly, So your trail elbow is going here.
That's way too in the inside, right?
Yeah, in the frontal plane here, your elbow is too much inside. So it's basically it gives a stuck elbow. Then you have to slide the pelvis toward the thigh quite a bit
to give room
to make a room here.
Right.
And then in the lateral view, yeah.
Looks deep.
So you have to wait a bit more. Drop the club head more here. So let the club head go this much. Okay, and then also it can be slightly away from the swing plane, and then from there, you have good shelling motion and coming down instead of going up here and quickly pull it down.
This way.
In this one, it's hard to find the right timing of impact.
Okay.
So as you were hitting the ball, I was sort of watching the direction is reflecting. Sometimes coming back to you, but it's sometimes going right. So the direction was not consistent. It's mainly because it's quick motion here, and then you don't have enough time to throw the club head. So if your hand leads a bit more, then it's open. Less, then you go straight.
Yeah, and sometimes, it leads, and sometimes even if it's deep, it'll go.
You have to give enough time. And also in the frontal view, where do I have the trajectory? I'll show you the hand trajectory. So actually, when you come up with this trajectory ellipse, then the long axis is going this way here. When you draw a vertical line, the low point is located on the right side of the vertical line here, in the middle.
Low point, okay, yeah.
Because you pulling this.
Wow.
There's a lot of dragging here. So with this, you don't have enough time to let the club head go. So you're actually losing velocity here. So that's what I see here. And then in the frontal plane interaction with the ground here. So the middle one is the force. So start with the equal amount of force here at the beginning, pretty much equal amount of force, or you have slight more force acting on the trail side here. And then you have a push during the backswing here. So up to this point, this maximum push from the trail side, this looks okay. Up to this point. But then after that, you don't have a good unweighting related to this push here.
Okay, yes. Should be. Okay.
And then later, you suddenly increase this quite a bit here by intentionally sitting down here. So this force goes way above the elite man's average, but this is too much. And then remember, your pelvis is moving upward quite a bit. So when that happens, if it's too much, then you have a lot of unweighting at impact here. It goes way below the body weight, and these forces are a lot smaller. Then the momentum goes in the opposite direction. Your torque also goes in the opposite direction.
So I'm losing velocity.
So although your peak momentum, the longest momentum is way above elite man's average here, and then here also your torque, peak torque, goes way above. But if you look at the shape, it's bottom here, and then quickly goes up, and then quickly comes down here. So it's kind of interesting here. And the 3 and 4 are happening at the same time here.
That's 2 and 3. No, 3 and 4.
3 and 4 here.
3 and 4.
That means you tend to develop early wrist cock in the backswing.
Yeah, I do.
So as soon as you start, you develop wrist cock here. So by the time your lead arm is parallel to the ground, the club is vertical here.
Okay.
So 3 and 4 happens at the same time.
I get it.
And then this is end-of-pelvis rotation. This should be usually the high point. But then you go up a bit more here and intentionally try to drop the body here. So you have a severe unweighting here before the top of action. But this is intentional dropping here instead of after this push and then let it drop.
Let it drop, yeah.
Yeah, you have intentional drop. So the force, the maximum force actually occurs early here.
Okay.
Usually the maximum occurs at the ED here when the club is vertical here. This is usually the low point of the center mass, and then the force becomes maximum here. But your force reaches peak value earlier because you have quick action here. So what I mainly see here is your backswing is too short.
Yes.
You're transitioning by quickly pulling it in.
Yeah.
Yep. So I suggest you have more time at the top of action.
Yeah, I have to.
You
I
have,
gotta keep it in mind because that's been my mistake a long time ago since I was competing.
but the one thing you can do is probably say something, Vijay Singh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've tried with like counting.
Vijay Singh.
Like something like that.
Or you can say Knao, Kapow, Kabam type thing. By saying something, try to match your body motion to what you're saying. Then you'll be able to change the time content.
Okay.
Okay? So basically what I see is that your backswing is not large enough,
It's really short.
and then you're rushing down by quickly pulling it down, and the hands are leading the curve quite a bit.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Any questions?
No, probably.
So your swing kick is pretty obvious here.
Yeah.
So you need to have more, make the backswing bigger, and then have more time at the top, and then throw the club in time so that you can really speed up the club head instead of hands leading too much, and then you don't have enough time to let the club go.
Release it. Yeah, because I know it's interesting. So I knew about the backswing. That's been my mistake, but it's interesting to see how it translates into